Okay, so good morning, everybody. Well, today I'll be presenting the remaining part of lease or purchase decision video, which we discussed in the part one. In that, I basically discussed about the basic concepts of lease or purchase and the functions that we are going to use in lease and purchase statement. So I will share my Excel sheet and I hope it's visible to everybody. So I will write the heading over here, lease or purchase decision. Let me just make the whole sheet bold so that it is visible and it is clear. So I have a very simple question over here with respect to lease or purchase decision. Often as a consumer, we are in a conflict whether we should be buying a product by paying the amount there and then, or we should be getting a product on lease basis. So I have a question over here wherein I'm planning to buy a car and cost of car is around, you can say, 2000. The lease payment which I have to make over here is around, we can say, 500. It is on annual basis. The annual interest rate which I have to pay on this particular lease is around 8%. We can take 6% also. We can take any percentage. Let me just write it over here. Annual lease payment and annual interest rate. All right, let me just space the column width so that it is viewable by the viewers easily. So now I will be making a very small table to compare the purchase cost and the lease cost. So in case of a purchase, everybody knows that when we are purchasing anything, we have to make the whole payment there and then. So in case of a purchase, the total amount will be 2000. That is the cost of the car. So I will simply say C3. Here is 0 and it will be 1, 2, 3. And the lease payment will be 500, which is on annual basis. So next I repeat, and this payment I have to make every year for these many number of years. So I will simply write it over here, C8, C9, C10. All right. So in case of the purchase, the total amount which will be going out from my pocket will be 2000 only, which is B8. And in this case, it will be something more. And for calculating this, I will be using a function called as net present value. I remember I did discuss the meaning of this function as well, and net present value will actually tell you to summarize the values, which is basically the present value of the cash inflows and the present value of the cash outflows. This will actually tell you the difference between the two. So we have the difference between the present value of the cash inflow and the present value of the cash outflow over a period of time. It is actually used in capital budgeting and in investment planning to analyze the profitability of a projected investment or a project. Well, these topics like NPV, capital budgeting, and even internal rate of return are the topics that you will be doing in the next semester when you talk about financial management concepts. But capital budgeting, I can just tell you in very brief way, capital budgeting is nothing but is a process which is used to determine whether an organization's long-term investments such as new machinery, replacement of machinery, new plants, new products, or even research and development are worth funding of the cash through the firm's capitalization structure or not. right? So we can take actually the call whether we need to go for amount of debt or amount of equity. And in that process, we are also going to calculate some other cash terms as well. So we have also done one video on ratio analysis where we discussed about the current ratio, quick ratio, then and many more ratios. So you can actually take the idea from that video also. So, but today I'm just going to focus on the Excel sheet with respect to the decision regarding lease or purchase of any product. So for finding the amount which will be going out from my pocket in case of a lease, I'm going to use net present value function. But first of all, I'm going to add the amount which I'm going to pay in the initial 0th year, which in this case is C8. So it will be C8 plus NPV bracket, the interest rate, which is this, comma, and the remaining set of values in the table, right? And let me just correct that. It has come in the percentage form. I don't want that. So let me just round off the zeros or the other decimal numbers as well. So I've got this amount as 1837. Well, in this case, it is very clear that leasing is the better option than purchase because the leasing amount is coming out to be less than the purchase amount, right? I can also do this calculation with the help of another function, which is present value function. And I can use the formula also for that. It is up to me, and I can easily use these formulas to find out the net value of the money which is going to go on a yearly basis. So present value is nothing but the current value of a future sum of money or the stream of cash flows given a specified rate of return. Future cash flows are discounted at a discount rate, and the higher the discount rate, lower is the present value of the cash flow. So in this case, we have taken the interest rate as 6%. So it's not that high, not that low, but as and when you will see that, as and when we make a change in the interest rate, you will see the corresponding change happening in the present values of the cash flows. So let me write it over here, present value, and for this I will use a formula. So I'll say equal to C8 divided by 1 plus the interest rate, which is at C5, whole bracket close, to the power the year number. So it is A8. Let me write another bracket over here. Wait, write another bracket enclosing the denominator. So let me just check my formula. It is C8 divided by 1 plus C5 to the power A8. Now I have to fix the cell which is having the interest rate. So I will simply write dollar sign, and I want C8 to change. I even want A8 to change, which are having the year number and the lease amount, right? So simply I'm going to drag this down further till this point, and now I'm going to use the sum function to calculate the total amount which is going from my pocket. So roughly, it is actually coming out as the same amount. So we know that we can either use this way of calculating the total amount which is going out from my pocket in case of a lease amount with the help of the net present value. On the other hand, we can also use the present value formula to calculate the total amount which I'm going to shed out in case of leasing. Now we can also, there could be a question like that wherein you could be asked to formulate the whole question with the help of if function. So I can very easily write that. I can say if bracket, let me say if B12 is less than C12, then it is better to purchase. Otherwise, it is better to lease. Now, in this case, since the amount of purchase is coming out to be more than the amount of lease, the decision that it has given us is better to lease. Now, let me make some changes over here with respect to the interest rate. Let me just make it as 12%. And let me see what happens when I take this. It has decreased further. Now, if I just make it as 3%, it will go further. If I increase the annual payment of the lease, then let's see what change it has happened. Okay, we didn't write the cell, that's why it is giving us this same amount. But if I just make a change over here with respect to 700, you will see that this amount has now become higher than 2000. And accordingly, this answer over here with respect to a function has become as better to purchase. So this way also we can actually take the call and decide whether we should be buying a product by giving the lump sum payment in one go, or we should be going for the lease. As discussed in the first video, both lease and purchase have their own pros and cons. In case of a purchase, you become the owner from day one, but certainly you will have to shell out the big amount of money there and then. But in case of lease, you can make the payment in small installments, in small EMIs, and certainly if you don't have the lump sum amount with you, and then you can keep on using the product. But then at the end of the lease period, depending on the agreement, you may decide either to return the product back, or you may be the owner of the product. So that was all for the day. Thank you so much. Next, we'll be talking about the payroll statement and the depreciation schedule.